Hey, I am so glad you are here. Welcome to episode 6 of the Health Coaching for Horsewomen weekly series that I'm doing here. And today I am very excited. I've been working my butt off, truth be told, for several months, but really seriously within these last 2 or 3 weeks or so, to roll out a meal plan, a 3-week, 21-day meal plan. And my brain has been fried for the last several days for sure, putting the finishing touches on that. And so in light of me releasing that meal plan, if you're interested in looking into it, you can go to andreaotley.com/meal plan and check it out. But because I have been focusing on meal planning so much, I wanted to take a few minutes today and go over some eating methods, some eating styles. I don't want to say weight loss plans because the first one that I'm going to talk about is definitely not have anything to do with weight loss. So I want to make sure and kind of run through those. And the way I'm going to do this is kind of a little bit of a history of how I have changed my eating style over the years and how I've come to offer this meal plan that I'm offering now. So I hope you find it very valuable. Hello, everyone tuning in. I'm so glad you're here with me today. I hope you're having a wonderful day. As you're tuning in, please say hello. I love to know who's on the other end of my little black dot that I'm looking into. And let me know, whether you're catching me live or watching the recording, let me know where you're from and what you're up to today. So let's go ahead and get started. I think I have everything here. It's been kind of a crazy whirlwind. So we're going to dive in with episode 6, eating methods and the science behind them. So we're just going to kind of run through a little bit of a checklist here. The first one that I want to talk about is definitely the standard American diet. And that's why I didn't want to say weight loss plans up here. I suppose you could use the standard American diet and somehow figure out a way to lose weight by cutting calories. That would absolutely work. And probably what a lot of us kind of start doing in the beginning when we're like, oh my gosh, I gained weight. Now I need to lose weight. I'm going to just eat less is what I'm going to do. That's my plan. I'm going to follow the standard American diet and I'm going to eat less. So let's talk about what the standard American diet is. I know this seems like completely simplified, but just bear with me and see where I'm going here. So this is, at the top is junk food, processed, a lot of fast food, right? So this is how I used to eat, clear up until the birth of my second son. So well into my 20s, if not into my 30s. I definitely ate a lot of the sad diet. So burgers, fries. My favorite things used to be marshmallows, Betty Crocker brownies, peanut M&Ms, chocolate covered raisins, potato chips. So for dinner, if we ever ate dinner, we usually just ate junk food or went to a restaurant and sat down and ate a bunch of processed food. I would do hamburger helper. I would do like rice-a-roni, macaroni and cheese, anything that could be bought in a box. I would get that, and that's what we would eat. Hot dogs, lots of breaded stuff, lots and lots of desserts, ice cream, anything that you could get from the Schwann's man. That's what I used to eat. Okay, so what's the science? Because I want to talk about each one of these and the science behind them. What's the science behind the standard American diet? Here you go. Here's the science. The science is it is fast, cheap, easy, and it tastes good. That's the science. That is why we eat the standard American diet. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments if you agree or give me a thumbs up if I'm on the right track here. So what's the problem? Again, I know we already know all this, right? But I want to kind of paint a picture for you. So the problem is I have to look at my notes to know. No nutrients. So occasionally, I would eat a salad, right? But I would not call that the standard of American diet. Vegetables is a very, maybe if you go to a restaurant, you order a cheeseburger, they put like 2 leaves of lettuce and maybe a thing of onion and some tomatoes and pickles on there. If you don't say no thank you to all of that, like my son does. So the problem is no nutrients. It is definitely weight gain. And if you stick with this for the long haul, it produces disease and can cause injury. Yeah. Okay. So that's the first one that I want to go over. This is how I used to eat. The thing that woke me up to wanting to stop doing that was this right here. I was gaining weight as I was aging. And then the other thing that was happening was I was having crazy food cravings. But the cravings didn't really come until I realized I was gaining weight, and then I just thought, well, I just need to stop eating crap, just stop eating, eat less food. And so then I thought, cut out the fat, follow some of the stuff that was going around. And what would happen when I would still kind of eat the same kind of food, I got these cravings that were just going crazy, right? So then what I did was I started researching what the heck was going on with me to have all these cravings and why I couldn't lose any weight. So the thing that I did next is going to be number 2. And there's tons of variations on this one. So rather than take you through the story of the next, say 8 years for me trying to figure this out, we're just going to sum it all up and call it clean. So I cleaned it up, right? Balanced. And just a clean, balanced diet. All right. So that means I cut out the junk food, and everything was, so we cut out the junk. This seems so logical, doesn't it? Cut out the junk, everything in moderation. There was a saying that I first heard. I don't know that she coined it, but it was from Jillian Michaels. She was actually one of the first nutrition books that I bought, called Mastering Your Metabolism. It's still a great book. I definitely would recommend you reading it if you are interested in this sort of thing. So when I read that book, I realized that the food I was eating didn't contain any nutrients. And I'm like, well, I can't just take a vitamin and go on with my life. I actually have to eat the green stuff. But that book opened my eyes to make me want to do that. So where was I going with that? Everything in moderation, clean out. You stop eating the junk foods. Oh, so the saying that she said that really hit home for me, and I live by this still. It's a great thing to say. If it didn't come from the ground and it doesn't have a mother, then you don't eat it. So that pretty much lets you eat real, whole foods. And we can get a lot more technical in terms of, does it not mean organic? Does it mean, some of these terms that they're throwing around nowadays when we talk about real whole foods. But for now, let's just say that it doesn't come out of a box and you can actually look at the food and trace it back to its food source. So I always joke with my kids when if I make a macaroni and cheese, there's this like little macaroni thing, right? And powdered yellow stuff that comes in the box, and I say, okay, where did this come from? Here's a little macaroni thing. What plant did that come off of? And it didn't, right? It's so processed that we have no idea. Honestly, we don't. They have taken everything, all the food out of it basically, and processed it and processed it and processed it till I always tell my kids it's flavored cardboard. That's what they're eating. So real whole foods, it grew from the ground or had a mother. That's my definition of real whole foods. It's so simple. And so that was the next thing that I did was I followed some type of thing here. So I did Jillian Michaels, some of her eating plans for a little bit. There was one by, I'll forget his name. I wonder if I have it over here in my book thing. Let me just look really quick. I have a whole bunch of books over here. There's Jillian Michaels. It was called Eat to Live by Doctor Who. Eat to Live. It's white. Eat to Live. Oh, come on now. I don't have it there for some reason. Anyway, it was Dr. Furman. I knew it would come to me. Dr. Furman has a diet called Eat to Live, and I did that one too. He really gets technical about what foods that did grow from the ground and had a mother can and can you not eat. But he still had this whole theory of it needs to be clean, balanced diet, right? So I did those. The last one, the one that broke the straw that broke the camel's back for me in terms of trying to eat clean, balanced diet to lose weight was the Beachbody Portion Fix containers. So those were a system which a lot of us are familiar with. You had like 6 containers. I forgot so much about it. Now I have to look. So you had the orange and the blue were your fats. Then you had a purple container was your fruits. Then they give you a green container. You're supposed to put your vegetables in. Red was protein, yellow carbs. So the science behind all of that was, so let's just talk about the science, right? If the same thing about eating clean and healthy, and then you lost weight by cutting calories. So that's how you actually lost the weight. And when you cleaned up the diet and increased your nutrition, the cravings were supposed to decrease. Supposedly. This is the science behind everything that I learned. So you cut calories, you eat everything in moderation, so it's balanced in moderation, and that is so you don't eliminate anything, so you don't feel deprived. All of that happens. So what happened for me, so the problem with eating like this, on paper, doesn't that seem logical? And maybe you're doing that right now. This seems so logical on paper, and we can get very excited about it because we can lay it out there and paint a very beautiful picture about how this is the way to eat, and it will, if you're on a weight loss journey, help you lose weight. But can you believe that I'm going to say that there is a problem with eating a clean, balanced diet? This is where I've gotten to over the years. So the problem is that it can be sometimes complicated, hard to follow. Like if you're traveling, you have to be organized, a planner. You can't just wing it, right? Because you need it to kind of all be balanced. You need all these things to be balanced where you can't eat too many carbs, and you can't eat too much protein, and you can't eat too much fat. So you really got to track, and it can be kind of hard and complicated to follow. You can feel like lonely. And that's a funny one. Feeling lonely. It sounds so funny, but I found myself in this situation more than once. I would go try to be regular with regular people and eat and be like, well, no, I'm trying to lose weight. I can't have that. So then I would feel like, especially at holidays and during any kind of my kids' school events where we'd go and have like big potlucks and stuff. I felt so separated from people. And we really know what that's like right now with everything going on. We don't like feeling lonely. We want to be a part of the herd, part of the group. So that's not that great. And then the thing that it was supposed to help was decrease the cravings for the food. And what I found was I was always starving. The cravings were terrible. And I was actually gaining weight instead of losing it. So this is what I found for myself. And I know after I kind of came out of the closet about that, being like, I can't believe I failed at the clean eating and balanced diet thing. Like I failed at that. And I felt like that's kind of what a problem with it was. It made me feel like I was the problem. I was the failure. When in fact, this way of eating failed me. That blows my mind a little bit. So I was gaining weight eating a clean and balanced diet. So I didn't have all the pieces. I didn't understand everything that was going on. I simply thought if I could cut calories and eat clean and balanced, I would lose the weight and life would be wonderful. But I tried this for a long time. Like I'm telling you, about 8 years. And I am not someone that kind of goes half in and goes, oh, this is too hard. Like I gave it my all. And it's not that I didn't see results and success. I did, but it was very hard to maintain. Very hard. All right. So then the third one that I want to talk about that, so this is kind of a timeline. I was eating the standard American diet. I wanted to lose weight. So I learned that eating, cleaning it up and cutting calories was going to help me. When that failed me, then the next thing that I found was kind of what's all the rage right now, right? Is a low carb, high fat diet. So we can call this, I used to be scared to say this word, but a lot of people don't understand what it means. And including me, I think that was what my biggest fear was, is I heard this whole term of keto diet thrown around and I'm like, oh, that's just another fad that's going to let me down. So I can't say, it took me a long time it took me hitting rock bottom for me one day to go, I can't work out any harder. I can't meal plan and prep any better. I can't do this anymore. I need to find a better way. So I actually heard, a low carb, high fat diet explained to me before I even understood that it was considered keto. So that is what perked my ears. And the thing that really did it was that, because I was sitting there scratching my head one day. I was just like, I am done trying harder. I can't keep going like this. I have to figure out a better way. And I was just brainstorming. And I'm brainstorming. And I'm like, okay, here's my body. I have probably 20 to 25 pounds of stored body fat. That's all it is. Like I separated out. I didn't think, oh, I'm fat. Like I did enough mind work to go, the truth is, I have extra fat stored on my body. Why the shit am I hungry all the time? I have all this extra stored energy. I know that's what fat is. It's stored energy. I have it on my body. Why am I hungry? That doesn't make any sense. Something's amok here. What is it? And as soon as I ask that question, what is going on? It's just like, it's so funny because that stuff just falls in your lap when you truly want to know and you truly ask a question and you truly want the answer to come in. It will come, always. I love that. So when I did that, that's what I saw a headline actually on Instagram, and the lady was saying, burn, stored. She might have said something like, tap into your stored body fat and feel amazing. So amazing is a word that's thrown around, but energy. She was like, you tap into this stored body fat and have energy. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I need. All this cutting calories and eating healthy crap. I feel like I'm in a coma half the time. I can't concentrate. It sucks. It's so miserable. But you're telling me that there's a way I can tap into my stored body fat and feel amazing at the same time as my body burns that? That's what I want. That's what I want. So I then was like, all right, let's do this. So I started researching more about that, which, oh my gosh, I love that journey. It is so amazing. So basically what I want to tell you about that, right? Oh, that's what my problem is. I have to change my page. Okay, no. This really wasn't the thing I was going to talk about today, so I just right now came up because I just think that this is the starting point. We have to have this conversation. So what happens with a low carb, high fat? So it's basically the opposite of what all of the mainstream nutritionists and doctors and dietitians have been telling us for the past really 50 years. Fat got a bad rap back in the 60s or 70s, somewhere in there. I'm not a history buff, but you can definitely go look it up and find out. This was political. I can't even believe it, but they needed a scapegoat for why the Americans were gaining weight and dying of heart disease. And some of these other things that were going on. Why were people having heart attacks and why were they getting fatter? It was an election year. It's really interesting to go back. You should just take some time and look it up. But they needed a scapegoat. So here's the thing about fat. So when we think about foods, we've got carbohydrates, we have proteins, and we have fats. Carbohydrates and proteins are each 4 calories per gram. Fat is 9 calories per gram. So it appears, if we're following this notion of decreasing our calories that we put in and exercise more, so eat less, burn more calories, then we need the food to line up. So in order for all that to fit, then when we take fat and we go, well, look at how many calories are in fat. We gotta get that down. We gotta get all the calories down. But people still want to eat lots of food. So let's start making all these low fat, high carb, high protein foods because that way they will still get to consume all this food, right? And plus it just makes sense because the fat is high in calories and we need calories to go down. Plus, like I'm saying, it was political. It was an election year and they sold this. They sold this thing that fat was causing all of our problems. And people are like, that makes sense. We all did it. We all believed. But when we take a look at the science of what's going on, the science, that's what I want to talk about. This really addresses why we get fat. That is the kicker. So the symptom is the weight gain. It's a symptom. And when we try to treat a symptom by cutting calories and exercising more to burn off the excess weight, yes, it will work. But why don't we stay that way? Because we have not addressed the cause. What is the true cause of weight gain and obesity? It is hormonal. So when our fat-storing hormones, when they're high, then we store fat. It is as simple as that. Well, guess what? What causes the fat-storing hormone, which is insulin? Always. There's all kinds of there's hundreds and hundreds of hormones in our bodies, but this one is ultimately the one that we're dealing with here. It doesn't even matter what condition you have or anything. When insulin is high, it tells your body to store fat. Guess what makes your insulin go up? Do you think it's fat? Do you think that if you eat high fat, your insulin is going to go up? Let me know. Tell me if you think I already know who's watching this and you guys already have heard me, but if you're watching the recording and you don't know that much about what I have to say, if insulin goes up, which is your fat storing hormone, it is not because you're eating high fat. It is because you're eating high carb. So if you eat high carb or even moderate carb and moderate protein, if you're eating a balanced one, like from the number 2 before, you are telling your body to store fat. So when we had the little containers, the little Beachbody containers, the Portion Fix, and we cut our calories, let's just say we cut our calories in half, but we're still consuming the majority of the percent from carbohydrates, even though it's a little bit. Guess what's happening? We're telling our fat storing hormone to be activated because our body is consuming these carbs. So that's what I'm like, oh, hallelujah. So what you're telling me is if I get rid of the carbs and I increase the fat, then I'm going to lose weight. Maybe. All right, now here's the thing. Here's the thing about it. Just because you're eating a low carb, high fat, ketogenic diet does not automatically mean that you are going to lose weight. This is the part that I'm getting to now, which is, it's more fascination. This sets you up to be fat adapted, which can put you into fat burning mode. But, okay, so this is the science, right? Yes, did I say everything that I want? Yes, this is the science. So the science behind a low carb, high fat diet is that it addresses the real cause of obesity. Lower the insulin, lower your fat burning hormone, fat storing hormone, your fat storing hormone is lowered. That means you can tap into your stored body fat. But this is not enough to simply eat like this. This is not enough. We got to do something. We got to follow one more step. So let's talk about the problem of a low carb ketogenic. So the problem is not with so the problem, if we want to lose weight, all right, we have to tap into the stored fat and not the dietary fat. Okay, so we're talking about 2 types of fat now. So the problem is you can eat lots of fat and you can even gain weight if you're doing that. Okay, so that's the problem. So this eating method in itself isn't going to help you lose weight. What will help you lose weight is to tap into your stored body fat. Now, of those 3 methods of eating, why do I pick this one as the winner? So with all eating plans, so with all eating methods, we still need to tap into the stored fat. All right, are you following me here? We still need to tap into the stored fat. So how do we do that? We think it's exercise more and eat less, and it is. But when we follow a high carb or a moderate carb diet, we eat all those little meals all the time, we never can get insulin low. If you test your blood, insulin is always going to be high, and that's when it will never let your body release that stored fat. So we have to get insulin low, glucose So that's how come glucose has to be low in order to tap into the stored fat. So it's not an eating method at all that gets us there. The thing that gets us there is fasting. When you completely stop eating, that is when you can run on your own body fat. I know it's easier said than done, but that is the truth of the matter. Is when you can stop eating, you are not going to crash your metabolism. None of that's going to happen. Those are all fears that were really easily planted into our heads because we don't like going without food. Sometimes it can be very comfortable. In fact, if you're following the standard American diet or the clean, balanced eating, it is nearly impossible. Like you could faint. You wouldn't die, but you would be so stinking miserable trying to fast, even intermittent fast. One time when I kind of understood a little bit about what was going on with intermittent fasting, there was a leader that I follow that was talking about the 16-8 window. So you fast for 16 hours and you eat within an 8-hour period. But I was still eating a moderate, I was eating pretty clean and whatever, but I was definitely not low carb, high fat. I was dying. I could not make it without the food. I felt so terrible. I'm like, screw this. I am not going to go without food. I need those little meals to keep fueling me. And when your body is running on glucose, then it's a limited supply. You need to keep feeding so you can have energy. But you never tap into your stored body fat. When you can make that transition into burning your fat, first you start burning the dietary fat. Then you tap into your stored body fat for energy. You no longer have that need to eat constantly. And like right now, what time is it? Let me just check. It is 2:30 in the afternoon, and I have not had any food. I just realized I have not had any food. And I would never, like if I just woke up and you didn't tell me that I didn't eat, I would not know that. I would have no idea. Because fasting is completely safe, it's very natural, and your body can thrive. Not only survive, but it thrives when you're in a fasted state. Because you're not constantly have to deal with all the glucose and the insulin and the digestion process. It does take a transition period to get there. It does. You can't just start tomorrow going from a regular carby or standard American diet and just do what I'm doing now and feel wonderful. It takes about 3 weeks to make that transition, okay? And it has to be a pretty disciplined thing. But let me tell you, it is so worth it to be, like, I just blew my own mind that I'm standing here, it's 2:30 in the afternoon and I haven't ate. And I'm thinking back, did I eat? I'm like, no, I have not ate. And I did the work today, one of these most insane workout programs of my entire life. And I feel fantastic. My brain is clear. I have so much energy because I have plenty of fat. I could make it for months on the amount of fat that I have right now. So that's amazing. So when we talk about the 3 eating methods that I just went over, there's tons of them, right? But they all have their own drawbacks and science behind them and all these things. But when we're talking about weight loss, somehow you have to figure out a way. So let's just say that, right? So this is how I'm going to wrap this up. I have no idea how long I've been talking. I just have so much fun. I love talking about this stuff. So when we want to, let's just say, lose weight, right? We need to, the first thing that we have to do is lower glucose so that we lower insulin. Okay? When we do that, then we can switch to fat for fuel. So then we're eating fat, right? So we're eating fat, and that's kind of the process. This is fatty food that we're eating. And then we switch over to body burns its own fat. Oh, why are we not all doing this? I think the biggest thing is we just do not slow down and either learn about it in the first place or remember once we have learned about it, okay? So in order to get here, we use some type of fasting protocol. Because like I said, with the low carb, high fat diets out there. So if you just Google ketogenic diet, there are tons of plans out there that do not incorporate the fasting piece. And that's the whole point, is you need to tap into your stored body fat. In order to do that, you have to stop eating, because your body's going to burn the fuel that you're putting in your mouth first. It's not going to go, oh, she's eating again. Well, never mind. We won't use that. We're just going to, burn the fat off of her butt. That's not, no. You have to stop putting the food in. You have to stop. And the way you do that is through fasting. The only way you can survive fasting is by becoming fat adapted. Okay? Am I making sense? I'm making sense to myself. So you have to let me know if this is sinking in. I love talking about this. In conclusion, that is what my life's work is and will be until I die, because I love it. The reason why I'm sharing this with you today is because that is what the Cowgirl Up Diet is, and that is what the new Cowgirl Up Diet 21-day meal plan is all about. The 21-day meal plan lets you go through a 3-week period where you eat the exact foods that are in the meal plan. So you don't have to worry about balancing everything out. All you have to do is look at the menu, the weekly menu, print out the food list, take it to the store, buy the things that are on the list, bring it home, put it all away, and then just look at Tuesday. What's for dinner for Tuesday? Okay, I'm going to make this meal. And then you get up the next day and you eat the breakfast, and it's just a process that you go through, and you just follow it and you become fat adapted. And then the next piece is to work in the intermittent fasting. So I have been doing this for 2017. So it'll be 3 years. So it's 2.5 years that I have been following this. The problems that I have run into were thinking that I could avoid that nutrition piece, the micronutrition, and that it was some way that I could eat dirty and live on cream and artificial sweeteners and diet pop and whatnot. Now, the best thing about eating like this is I can have that in moderation. I just cannot live on it. I was finding the problems were in the dirtiness of the food, not in the low carb, high fat plan itself. I love it. I believe in it wholeheartedly. I will promote it till I die. I know this stuff isn't, each thing isn't for everyone. There's not one diet that is for everyone, but this one I believe in, and I will explain how it works. And then it's left up to you to understand if it's right for you, and do more research if you have any kind of, other conditions or anything. Because the bottom line, I am a health coach. I am not a nutritionist, a dietitian, or a doctor. I can't, prescribe or cure anything. All I can do is explain what's worked for me, how I understand it to be, and make these recommendations based on what is working for me, which I love beyond loving. Yay. Okay, so I'm going to check in with you right now. Let me just say, if you need to go and you are interested in getting that meal plan, Cowgirl Up Diet members, if you're watching this, it's already available to you. It is part of the Cowgirl Up Diet that you've already purchased, so no worries there. If you do not have the Cowgirl Up Diet yet, you can get this supplemental meal plan on its own without buying the whole entire Cowgirl Up Diet course. The meal plan, if you go to andreaotley.com/meal plan, it is, you'll be able to purchase that yourself right now. So it's available, it's up and running, and you can go get that sucker and work on it today. Start becoming fat adapted. All right, you guys, have a great day. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week. All right, bye-bye.